Friends, once again I welcome you to my lecture on interview related ideas, and today I'll be speaking about your DAF, detailed application form, and how the board really looks at it and how you should be able to respond to the questions based on your DAF. Now, I must tell you that DAF is your gateway to a good performance at the interview. And for that, I would say that DAF is like your horoscope. You have not given DAF to the board, you have given your horoscope to the board. What I mean by this is that just as an astrologer will see your horoscope and can make out about you, what kind of a person you are, what is in store for you, and things like that, DAF is also something like that before the board. By a close scrutiny of the DAF, many things can be concluded by the board that he is this kind of a person, comes from this background, these are his accomplishments, this is socioeconomic status, educational background, parental background, and many things like that. So DAF is an interesting part of an interview as well as a decisive part also. See, in the interview, many questions can be asked which you can't predict because they will be from current issues, national, international issues, and depending on the board members' own preferences and interests, they can raise you any question. Obviously, you will be knowing many of them, and some of them we will not know. But as far as DAF is concerned, definitely they are going to ask you questions where you certainly know. Why? Because DAF is about you. DAF concerns you. And therefore, you must know about it and you must know very well about it. You can't be ignorant about your DAF. You can't be deficient about your DAF. And you can't be inadequate about your DAF. In other words, if you are not able to answer some questions on other issues means other than your DAF, then it can be taken lightly by the board. Okay, this boy may not have read about this or about that. But if you are not able to forcefully defend your DAF, then it will be taken very, very unkindly by the board, because this is something that you have claimed for yourself, that this is my background, this is my education, this is my hobby, these are my things, and you do not defend them very well. So it will carry a bad impression. At the same time, if you are able to defend your DAF, you have already made a very good impression before the board, simply because your interview is going to be most likely start with your DAF. Now, how this whole thing works out within the situation of the interview? Well, as you enter, the members will greet you, ask you to sit down, and they would have gone through your DAF just a minute before or 2 minutes before. Before the candidate enters, the members and the chairman will quickly go through the DAF. And every member of the interview, 5 of them, including the chairman, will have a very good look at the information given in your DAF right from beginning to the end. It's not that your DAF will be read partially by the board only in terms of your hobbies or in terms of your educational qualification or some part of it, because they will try to know all about you. Now, it does not mean that all of them will ask questions from the entire DAF. Naturally, because some people will ask you on hobbies, then I will not ask on the hobby, then I'll ask your education. If I ask on education, somebody will ask your optional paper. If somebody asks your optional paper, then the other member will ask you about your parental background, if he has been of some significance or something extraordinary or different. So like that. So people will pick and choose the areas of your DAF and they'll ask you questions. And if you are able to answer those questions very, very well, then more questions will be generated on the DAF. And that goes to your own benefit, because here you are for sure answering something that you know. And if you create a good impression in the first 5-10 minutes which will be spent on the DAF, then you have already created a favorable atmosphere before the board for yourself to go the rest of the interview very, very smoothly. So this is the significance of the DAF, right? Now, if you open the pages of your own DAF that you have filled in, then you will find that there are 4 or 5 kinds of information that you have given. Half of the DAF, of course, concerns you starting from your date of birth, when you were born, your own address, where you stay, your own parental information, their name, their occupation, their income, etc., your home state, your optional paper that you have chosen, the medium that you have taken for the exam. All these are extremely personal information that the DAF starts with. Now, there will be interesting parts in the DAF where they'll ask the question. And the first thing will be to see which village or city or metro you come from. Suppose you come from a village, you have written that I am from this village of this district and this state. Then they might start with that only, because they'll be interested in knowing that what do you know about your village? What are the agricultural practices? Have you been to your village? What is grown there and why it's grown there? What is the soil type? Do you have any river flowing through your village? What is the irrigation system? What is the electricity status? How your panchayat is working in the village and all that? How you find the village politics in the panchayati elections? So these can be very, very general questions that they can ask you about a village. But if you are not from a village, if you are from a city like Delhi or Patna or Lucknow or something, then definitely they'll ask you about the problems of Patna, whether it's problem of the road or cleanliness, or problem in Lucknow of this or that, or problems of Delhi, which has lot many problems. So they'll ask you questions relating to the place where you have spent your years of time and all that. Then on parents, they generally do not touch the parents issue unless he is from a civil service or educational background or something. So they might ask one or two questions on this, that how your parents have inspired you in your life, how they have shaped your opinions, your values, and what you owe to them. They might ask you a couple of questions on that, but not much emphasis will be given your parents' achievements and all that. They are not much bothered about what your parents have achieved, but they are more bothered about what you have achieved. Then more important will be your educational qualification. They will go through your education right from a school till your college, university. They will see your year of passing, the marks you have obtained, the subjects you have taken, the universities that you have attended, and then if they find something interesting, they will ask you a question on that. If you are from, say, IIT Roorkee, you are a product of IIT Roorkee, or you are a product of Delhi University, or a product of JNU, then obviously questions relating to those things will be asked. If you are from a college like St. Stephen's, Hindu College, or Miranda House, or Christian College, Loyola College, Chennai, and things like that. So they will be asking you questions relating to the history of the college, how you find the college, what was very impressive, what kind of learning you did from the college, things like that they'll ask you. So you cannot say that you are ignorant about your college and university and you do not know its history or the kind of culture you confronted there, what you learned there, how it has transformed your thinking, your education, your attitudes, and all those things. That will be your educational background and all that. Sometimes they will also ask you that if you have such a good educational background, you have done higher degrees and all that, so probably civil service is not your choice. Why you are coming after such a distinguished background? You could serve as a specialist, as an academician or a technologist or an engineer or doctor. So that also will have to defend, to which I'll come a little while later. So that will be your educational qualifications. Now, next is your most important part will be your hobbies. Many people fill in lots of hobbies. Some people fill some hobbies. Now, if you have so many hobbies, then obviously on all the hobbies questions will not be asked. So ideally one should not fill too many hobbies and areas of interest. And that sometimes make it the board suspicious that how this man is able to pursue 6, 7, 8 hobbies together and do justice to all the hobbies. But in case you have filled in 5, 6 different hobbies, it's fine. It will not go against you. But they will pick up some important areas of your activity and they'll ask you questions on all that. Because there's no time to ask on all your hobbies. That will take 20 minutes of time if they go into all the hobbies. So there is a time constraint. So they'll ask you about 2, 3 hobbies and you'll have to defend those hobbies and all that. But hobbies, they will ask you. Then you have what is called, choice of cadre, how you have put the order in IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS, and like that. And also the choice of states that you have made, which zone is your first choice, in that zone which state is your first choice, and the information that you have provided. Sometimes they ask you, but generally this is avoided. They don't ask questions on this state or that state where you have chosen and all that, because of not much importance being given to which cadre you want and this and that, unless your choice of preference is very, very unusual. For example, some people say that IRS is my first choice, leaving IAS and IPS. That becomes very unusual. So obviously there will be a question, why you are leaving IAS and IPS and putting IRS as the first choice. Then you'll have to defend why you are putting it like that. Otherwise, everybody gives the same choices. 99% have the same choices, IAS, IPS. Third choice is IRS, fourth choice is IFS, and like that. So board knows, and they don't want to kill time on asking this obvious question on this and all. Only if there is something unusual that you have given, you'll have to prepare very well and defend it very, very well. So there are 4 or 5 areas that I mentioned that's given in your DAF, and questions will arise from all of these areas. And the good part of DAF is that if you can articulate your information in forms of answers to the questions that they have asked, very good for you. It will always convince the board the boy knows what he does. The boy can defend what he has written. So that will carry a very good impression. At the same time, if you carry an impression that you have not done much homework on what you have given in the DAF, it will carry quite an opposite impression of negativity. That this man doesn't seem to be serious about his own information. He doesn't seem to be in a position to defend his own information, and that will go against you. So you must know every bit of information regarding DAF very, very well, and you have to work out and find questions, what questions they can ask him about birthplace, about village or state or district, the problems of your state and district, your educational qualifications, why did you do this course, what did you learn from this course, any job that you are doing, you should know something about that job which you are performing. There will be questions relating to the job itself. And then of course, questions on your hobbies will be of great interest to the board. If you have very good hobbies, you will be taken as a well-rounded personality. If your hobbies are poor or ill-informed, then you will not be taken as a well-rounded, wholesome, holistic personality. That's where the hobby will give you an extra strength for the interview. Now, what should you remember while you are answering the question relating to your DAF? Now, the first thing is that since you have provided the information in the DAF, you are accountable to the information that you have given. In other words, you must give all the honest information answer to the board in the context of the DAF. If you try to be dishonest about your DAF information, there you are bluffing around the board. Now, what do you mean by that? If you do not know really the problems of Meerut or Lucknow or Delhi, and then still you try to find an answer which will be very imaginary, unrealistic about Delhi's problems, Meerut problems, then it's not a very good thing to do. If they're asking about any particular place where you have resided, then you must know the problems of the place very, very correctly. If you do not know, it's better to say that, sir, this part I have not gone into about Meerut or Lucknow or Patna or Bhopal, rather than trying to concoct that Bhopal has got this problem, Patna has got this problem, which you cannot defend. So, in other words, whatever you are speaking should reflect your honesty. Other than knowledge, it must reflect your honesty. You must be honest about your DAF, because only honesty can protect your interest in the board as far as the DAF information is concerned. Now, I have had the occasion to hear from the UPSC chairman, previous chairman, and many members of real situations where people have tried to bluff around the board, around their hobbies and other things, and they have come out very, very poorly about it. On the other hand, people who have given honest opinion and information regarding the DAF, they have come out in very, very great colors. Without naming one UPSC chairman with whom I have been associated for a long time, and you can say he was my mentor in interview training. In real situation, we have sat together and interviewed hundreds of candidates. Yes, of course, he was ex-UPSC chairman. He narrated two incidents which is worth mentioning here before you. There was a guy in Delhi long time back, must be say around 15 years back. He appeared in an IAS interview, and one of his hobbies was to help the villagers in Haryana in his free time. That's what he mentioned, that I try to go and help the villagers, educate them in Haryana, in a village in Haryana. This chairman who was heading the board, he got suspicious about his truthfulness in this hobby, and he started probing him that, okay, fine, it's a very good hobby. You go to Haryana and you help around the villagers with your expertise. Now tell me, what time you go there and how do you organize them and how you come back? Then he said that, sir, I go there in the morning, around 8 o'clock I reach there and I talk to them, and around 10 o'clock I come back to Delhi. Then the next question was, fine, if you go at 8 o'clock to a village, you will find villagers very busy. They'll be either busy going to the field, to their land, or tending to their cattle, and there's so many activities happen in the morning in the village, in the agricultural lifestyle and all that. So that's not the right time to catch the villagers. So how do you organize them if they're out at all? Now this fellow was not really going to Haryana, he had just filled a hobby like that, and he thought that he will get away with that. Now he was totally now flustered. He was not able to tell very well how he goes in the morning and organizes the villagers and how they are not going to fields and all that in the morning. He completely lost the path, lost the way, and then the chairman was very, very unhappy just because he was concocting and defending the hobby in a very, very unrealistic manner. So on this dishonesty only, he had decided to give him the lowest marks in the interview so that he never gets into civil services. Now, you must know this very well. If the interview board and the chairman feels that you are not fit for civil services by showing this kind of conduct, that you have filled in something and they are trying to unnecessarily defend it, although you have not followed that particular thing, like this guy, then they will make sure that you get very, very low marks. There will be no sympathy for you and you will lose the way. Now, another example will be a positive example. In his the same UPSC chairman, he was sitting in not the IAS interview, but he was sitting for the Forest Service interview, IFS. And there was a guy from Kerala who had talked about some interest in plants and species that he tries to identify and tries to enrich himself with the existence of certain species and plants. So he got interested and he asked about a very, very specific species of plant in Kerala, and the guy was from engineering background, and he very, very truly answered everything relating to that species plant. Now, the chairman was so pleased that look at this boy. Whatever he has written in the hobby, he knows everything about it. So he said, no need to further interview this boy. Send him back. We'll just give him maximum marks. And he told me he told the candidate, your interview is over, you can go now. Other members were slightly surprised. Sir, his interview was not over. And you have sent him back. He said, I don't need to know more about it. One thing that he has said about this plant and species and the kind of interest he has shown makes him a fit candidate for IFS, Indian Forest Service, and give him the maximum marks. Now, why I have quoted these examples? That this will serve as beacon light for you, how not to tell lies in defending your DAF and how to defend your DAF like this boy who was from Kerala and defended the species and plants. He was rewarded with very good marks and all that. So that is very, very important. Now, the point is that how do you prepare for each section of your DAF? Some inputs regarding that. First is that they'll ask you information regarding yourself. So if you have a very, very peculiar name, historical name, so some question they'll ask you. Your name is Ashok Vidyarthi, suppose. So obviously they'll ask you sometimes that what do you know about Samrat Ashoka of Maurya dynasty? Then you'll have to talk about what you know about him. Another question can be put on him. He was very, very famous for Kalinga War. You have any idea why he fought the Kalinga War? Or they can ask you another question. He initiated a policy of Dhamma. What do you know about Dhamma? So some question on Ashoka will come, like these two I have mentioned. There can be a third question also. But the name you should know and defend, whether it's your name is Ashok or this or that. That is different thing. Now, second thing will be that they'll come to your educational qualifications right away. If you have taken certain subjects in your graduation, suppose you have done graduation with international relations, or you have done with quantum mechanics, or you have done with some management subject, depends on what you have chosen, they'll try to pick it out. That why you took this, were you interested in this? Yeah, I was interested in this. Then couple of questions will follow on that. Basic fundamental questions, just to see how serious you were as a student of this or a student of that. So that also can be there. As I told you about the institution that you have attended, if the institution is of good quality, then they will ask you questions. Say for example, somebody comes to me and I share the board, and then somebody is from IIT Roorkee. So there are so many IITs are there, but they are very different from each other. IIT Roorkee, because it happens to be in Uttarakhand, they have done a very good job in the hydrological aspects, on the seismological aspects, because Uttarakhand always is a victim of floods and landslides and this and that. So therefore, they have made good expertise in this. So if you are from IIT Roorkee and if they ask you what kind of work that your institution has done about this and that, and if you do not know, then it will be very, very difficult. Similarly, if you come from IIT Kanpur, now you know IIT Kanpur always is in the news in recent times because of this what is called this cloud seeding. IIT Kanpur has gained experience and expertise in what is called cloud seeding. All of you know that cloud seeding was done in Delhi, but it failed, but it was done by IIT Kanpur. So they might ask you that in IIT Kanpur, if you have studied there, why cloud seeding is being studied there, who is in the faculty, and if you say that I do not know anything about cloud seeding at IIT Kanpur, you will draw a poor picture for no, without any doubt. So you have to know about it. I gave you just two examples, but similar examples can will be applicable to all situations of your educational institutions. You should know very well about some people from, I think, Lucknow or Kanpur. They come. There's an institution called Butler Institute of Engineering or something. I don't remember exactly, but something like that. So it's named after Butler. Now, I've faced around 5-6 students coming from that institution in the last, say, 5 years or so. And not all of them were knowing who was this Harcourt Butler, what was his role in the colonial time, what kind of positions he had occupied. They failed to explain that. Only some few knew about it. So that was not a very good thing about it. If you come from Aligarh Muslim University, so how Sayyid Ahmad Khan stepped up Aligarh Muslim University, what was the Aligarh movement, what were the educational reforms that he did, it is a natural question to be asked. So these kind of things are bound to be asked. Banaras Hindu University has contributions from Madan Mohan Malviya, it has contributions from Annie Besant, and many people were involved in that. So if you do not know about all this, then obviously you cannot just say that I am from BHU and I do not know about the contribution of Annie Besant or Madan Mohan Malviya. So everything has got a past. If you are from Elphinstone College, then some Tilak will come. If you are from some other college in Mumbai, then some other people will come. Everywhere there has been a person behind building an institution, and you must know the person and his vision to build up an institution. All this should be very, very clear to you. Then your state becomes a focal point Because every state from Karnataka to to Kashmir, to Bihar, to UP has got its own challenges. There are challenges of governance, there are challenges of development, there are challenges of male-female ratio, there are challenges of gender inequality, there are challenges of law and order. So you can list out that these are the challenges in my state and all that. And definitely you should have a view on that. Say for example, Bihar elections have just been conducted and there was a landslide victory. They are not going to ask very controversial political questions on that. But definitely it has been in very, very heated debate in the newspapers and media that how the welfare measures have worked to the advantage of the present government, how welfare measures are being used as a tool to re-win the elections, and do you think that this kind of freebies should be allowed in Indian democracy, in Indian electoral practices? What was the controversy regarding SIR, sir? Why election commission role was tainted by the media in this election? You think that election commission is still fair and it's working as a neutral umpire? Many questions can come like this. So one example of Bihar I've given you, but then if you come from Karnataka, if you come from other states, then there will be questions. Say for example, you have written that you are from Chhattisgarh or Andhra Pradesh. Many of you will come from these states. So right now there's a big attack by the government on Naxalism. All big Naxal leaders are either being forced to surrender or they are being killed in encounters. So the top leadership is being washed out. And definitely Naxalism, which used to be a big threat to the country, has now been beaten to dust almost. It will be over very soon, given that their red corridor has become very, very narrow. Their area of operation has become very, very narrow. Top leaders have been captured, and there has been a de-radicalization of the youth, which used to join Naxal movement, with lots of pumping of funds, public infrastructure, law and order, all of this. So if you come from this, they'll ask you a question on that how do you account for Naxal's decline in these states and what kind of a strategy has worked out. So why I'm quoting all this is because the state you come from, there'll be questions. And the questions will be definitely from the recent newspaper readings. Some states are having river disputes. Some states are having problems between them of other kind. So all this you should know. Belagavi or Belgaon is a permanent dispute between Maharashtra and Karnataka. If you come from either Maharashtra or Karnataka, they will ask you about Belagavi or Belgaon. Similarly, with Goa and Maharashtra, there is a river dispute. I'm forgetting the name of the river, so that is there. So between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, there is a problem about water sharing and river dispute. All this you should know about your state very, very well, and you should prepare by authentic sources, like what government programs are about it, what is the judicial angle involved in this kind of dispute, what is your opinion to solve this dispute very, very well. So you should raise questions, that these kind of questions will be asked from this section or that section, and I'll be able to do that. Now, that's about your educational qualification and your state. Now coming to your hobbies, I would like to tell you that if you give the hobby of chess, then maybe your hobby is very moderate. You just play chess for the sake of playing it. You may not be a national level player, you may not be a state level player, but that apart, you must know the basics of chess. How India is gaining very solid control over the game of chess internationally. What do you account for the increasing popularity of chess? Who are our latest heroes in chess? Or for example, cricket, the Indian women have just won the World Cup ODI first time. And then what lies for the women sports person in the future? If that is your hobby, you'll have to talk about this. If chess is your hobby, watching cricket is your hobby, these questions are bound to be asked. My point is that you may not have perfected the hobby that you have written, chess or cricket or this or that, but your knowledge on that should be very, very solid, that you should know about that. Unless you are interested in chess and cricket, how can you pursue the hobby of chess and cricket? You cannot say that, sir, I do not read about the developments, why women cricket has prospered, or why Indian people are doing very well in chess. You cannot say that. You'll have to know about it. That is the mark of a very, very genuinely interested person in a particular hobby. That's my point. So you have to prepare it like that. Now, as far as other aspects relating to your hobbies are concerned, you may not be a super expert in your hobbies. Some members go very deep into asking about your hobbies. If you are interested in gardening, kitchen garden, or flower plants, or some such hobby, then you don't have to know all the technical aspects of how a plant is grown, what kind of photosynthesis takes place, what are the nutrients that is required. No. All this, even if they ask you, you can say that, sir, I have only kept it at a minimum level of the hobby, and I am only interested in growing the plant and all. Till now, I have not made any endeavor to see its technical aspects and all that. The same is true of music. If you are able to tell them that I pursue Indian music or classical music or any other music, then they might ask you in details about the instruments, this, that. If you know, it's okay. It will not go against you. If you do not know, even then it's okay. You can always defend that I have kept myself confined to the beauty of the music, the art of the music. I have not gone into the nitty-gritty of the music. But sir, given a chance and opportunity and time, definitely like to further develop my music. You cannot reject the idea that there is no need to know more about it. That is not a good answer. But you can say that at present I do not know, but in future definitely give it a chance. I would like to engage myself more deeply into this as suggested by you, like this. So if you defend your DAF like this, DAF preparation itself will take a good number of days, and the intelligent way to prepare is to frame questions on the lines that I have just now advised and guided you. Prepare questions, what can be the probable questions on each area of DAF. And of course, the ultimate way to prepare for DAF is to come to us in the interview board and then find out how they are raising the questions on DAF, which you have not visualized, and we make you visualize those kind of questions on DAF. So now in conclusion, I'd like to tell you that treat your DAF as your horoscope. It talks about you in terms of who you are. That's why I call it horoscope. And second thing is that DAF is the starting point of interview, and questions of DAF will be asked. Other questions, what will be asked, what will be asked, it's not in your control. But DAF questions are within your control. So do things in the interview which are within your control. Don't do things which are not in your control. Let everything be asked under the sun. Try to answer those questions. But this is something which you can completely control. It's your driven. It's not driven by the board. Other questions are driven by the board members, but DAF is driven by you. You are giving them a chance to ask. So here is your opportunity to do a very good performance on DAF. And in the 5 minutes beginning from the interview, if you make a good show on the DAF questions, then your advantage is that it will boost your self-confidence, that you will, yes, I'm answering very well, and it will create a smooth environment before the interview board to ask further questions. So that facilitates your rest of the interview, and that is the importance of DAF. I hope you will work on what I have suggested, and again we'll meet on some other subject. Thank you.